Spaceballs, 1987, wasn't just another Star Wars parody. It was Mel Brooks' $22 million gamble that George Lucas almost sued into oblivion.
It is the last genre that I can destroy.
The special effects team quit mid-production over impossible demands. John Candy improvised his entire performance because the script had no jokes written for him. And the ending they released wasn't the ending Brooks wanted. These are 16 facts about the parody that merchandised itself to death. George Lucas allowed the parody only. If Brooks agreed to never make merchandise, Mel Brooks needed permission from George Lucas and Lucasfilm to make a Star Wars parody. Lucas agreed on one condition: absolutely no Spaceballs merchandise could ever be produced. Lucas protected Star Wars merchandising rights fiercely and refused to allow any competing products. Brooks reluctantly agreed to the restriction. However, he cleverly included the merchandising ban as a joke within the film itself. The scene showing Spaceballs merchandise everywhere satirized the restriction Lucas imposed. Brooks called it revenge through humor for being denied lucrative toy sales. The ironic joke was that Spaceballs, the movie, mocked merchandising while being legally prohibited from actual merchandising. Lucas reportedly appreciated the self-aware humor. Despite the ban, some unauthorized Spaceballs merchandise appeared years later. Brooks made the restriction part of the comedy rather than accepting defeat. John Candy improvised Barf's entire performance. Because his scenes had no written dialogue, John Candy played Barf, the Mog half-man half-dog character. The script contained only basic scene descriptions for Barf with minimal actual dialogue written. Mel Brooks hired Candy specifically for his improvisational skills. He expected Candy to create the character during filming. Candy showed up on set and discovered he had almost nothing scripted to say. He improvised virtually every line and physical gag throughout production. The "I'm my own best friend" joke was completely spontaneous. Candy's vomiting gag wasn't in the script. His interaction with the tail was improvised comedy. Brooks filmed hours of Candy's improvisation and selected the best material during editing. Other actors struggled to keep straight faces during Candy's unscripted performances. The character's appeal came entirely from Candy's creative genius rather than Brooks' writing. The special effects budget was slashed mid-production, forcing visible compromise. MGM originally allocated $8 million for special effects. Halfway through production, the studio slashed the budget to $4 million due to financial problems. Effects supervisor Peter Curran had to cancel planned sequences and simplify others dramatically. The opening scene's massive spaceship was supposed to be twice as long with more elaborate detail. Budget cuts forced using a smaller model. Several space battle sequences were eliminated entirely. The Millennium Falcon parody transformation was simplified from original designs. Curran worked frantically to deliver acceptable effects with half the budget. Some effects shots looked noticeably cheaper than others because they were created after the cuts. The inconsistent quality bothered Curran, but Brooks supported him publicly. The budget reduction forced creative compromises visible in the final film's uneven effects quality. Rick Moranis created Dark Helmet's voice and personality. Completely independently, Rick Moranis was cast as Dark Helmet, the Darth Vader parody. The script described him simply as short villain in black armor. Moranis developed the character's high-pitched voice, neurotic personality, and physical comedy entirely on his own. Mel Brooks gave him complete creative freedom. Moranis based Dark Helmet's voice on his own natural-speaking voice, pitched slightly higher. The helmet-sized jokes came from Moranis during costume fittings. His playing with dolls scene was Moranis' improvisation. Brooks was so impressed he let Moranis rewrite dialogue and add physical gags. The character's appeal came from Moranis, making Dark Helmet pathetic rather than threatening. His creative choices transformed a one-note Vader parody into the film's comedic centerpiece. Brooks later called Moranis' contributions essential. The production was shut down for 2 weeks after Daphne Zuniga's stunt injury. Daphne Zuniga played Princess Vespa and performed many of her own stunts. During a desert escape sequence, her stunt harness malfunctioned. Zuniga fell approximately 12 feet onto rocky ground. She suffered a severe ankle sprain and back injuries. Production was immediately shut down while she recovered. The 2-week delay cost MGM hundreds of thousands in lost shooting days. Zuniga felt terrible about the production delay and tried returning early. Doctors refused to clear her. When filming resumed, Zuniga was prohibited from doing any physical stunts. A stunt double completed her remaining action sequences. The injury created scheduling nightmares as scenes had to be reordered around Zuniga's limited mobility. Brooks visited her daily during recovery. The accident made MGM's insurance company impose stricter safety protocols for remaining production. Mel Brooks recorded Pizza, the Hutt's voice, while actually eating pizza. Mel Brooks provided the voice for Pizza the Hutt, the grotesque gangster made of pizza. During recording sessions, Brooks literally ate pizza while performing the dialogue. He wanted authentic chewing, swallowing, and mouthful sounds for the character. Sound engineers recorded Brooks eating multiple pizzas over several sessions. The disgusting eating sounds were completely genuine. Brooks consumed approximately 6 large pizzas during Pizza the Hutt recording sessions. He developed severe indigestion afterward. The audio engineers had to balance Brooks's voice levels with loud chewing sounds. Some takes were unusable because Brooks was laughing while eating. The character's repulsiveness came directly from Brooks' commitment to authentic, disgusting food consumption. He later joked it was the most unpleasant voice work of his career. The crew wore Star Wars costumes on set, as joke and Lucas sent cease and desists. During production, crew members began wearing actual Star Wars costumes and merchandise as on-set jokes. Photos were taken of crew in Stormtrooper helmets and Darth Vader masks working on Spaceballs sets. Someone leaked these photos to entertainment press. Lucasfilm's legal department sent an immediate cease and desist letter. They threatened lawsuit if any Star Wars intellectual property appeared in behind-the-scenes materials. MGM panicked and ordered all Star Wars items removed from the set. The crew thought it was harmless fun. Lucasfilm viewed it as trademark violation. Mel Brooks personally called George Lucas to apologize. Lucas accepted the apology, but his lawyers continued threatening action. All photographs showing Star Wars items were destroyed. The incident demonstrated how seriously Lucas protected his properties. The joke backfired spectacularly and nearly caused legal disaster. Bill Pullman was cast only after several other actors rejected Lone Star role. Bill Pullman played Lone Star, the Han Solo parody character. He was not Mel Brooks' first choice. The role was offered to several established actors who all declined. Tom Hanks rejected it to focus on dramatic roles. Chevy Chase turned it down without explanation. Several others passed because they viewed science fiction parody as career-damaging. Bill Pullman was a virtual unknown when finally cast. Brooks chose him because Pullman had classical theater training and good comedic timing. Pullman was grateful for the opportunity despite knowing he wasn't the preferred choice. His performance combined genuine heroism with self-aware humor. The role launched Pullman's film career. He later thanked the actors who rejected the part for giving him his breakthrough opportunity. If you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes secrets about classic comedy science fiction, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next deep dive. We've got more shocking production stories coming soon. Now back to the Schwartz and its power. The ludicrous speed effect required 17 takes because actors couldn't stop laughing. The ludicrous speed sequence where characters' faces distort from acceleration required elaborate makeup effects. Actors wore appliances that pulled their faces into exaggerated expressions. The effect looked so ridiculous that the actors couldn't maintain composure. Take after take was ruined by uncontrollable laughter. Bill Pullman kept breaking character watching John Candy's distorted face. Candy couldn't stop laughing at his own appearance in the monitor. After 17 failed takes, Mel Brooks gave up on perfect performances. He used takes where actors were barely controlling their laughter. Some visible smirks made it into the final cut. Brooks decided the genuine amusement enhanced the comedy rather than ruining it. Joan Rivers recorded her dot matrix voice. In one 3-hour session, comedian Joan Rivers voiced Dot Matrix, the C-3PO parody droid. She recorded all her dialogue in a single marathon 3-hour session. Rivers performed without seeing any footage or interacting with other actors. She simply read lines cold from the script. Rivers' rapid-fire delivery and distinctive voice created the character's personality instantly. Mel Brooks gave her minimal direction, trusting her comedic instincts completely. Rivers improvised additional jokes and altered dialogue throughout the session. Most of her ad-libs made the final cut. The speed of recording meant some lines had timing problems that required editing adjustments. The desert moon of Vega scene was filmed in Arizona during record heat wave. The desert planet sequences were filmed near Yuma, Arizona, during a day's hot, unprecedented June heat wave. Temperatures exceeded 115 degrees Fahrenheit during filming. Actors in heavy costumes and makeup suffered severe heat exhaustion. John Candy's Mog costume was particularly dangerous in extreme heat. He required constant cooling breaks and medical monitoring. Several crew members were hospitalized for dehydration and heat-related illness. The makeup melted off actors' faces between takes, requiring constant reapplication. Filming could only occur during early morning and late evening hours. The heat wave extended the desert shoot by a full week. Production costs increased substantially due to the delays. MGM initially wanted PG rating, but Final Cut received PG. Because of mild language, Mel Brooks wanted a PG rating to maximize audience appeal. MGM supported this goal because PG films sold more tickets. However, the MPAA gave Spaceballs a PG rating due to mild profanity and sexual humor. The asshole jokes and crude innuendo pushed it beyond G-rating territory. Brooks reluctantly accepted PG rather than cut the jokes. MGM worried the rating would reduce family audience attendance. In 1987, PG films were considered more adult than modern PG movies. Some theaters treated PG as requiring parental guidance seriously. The rating didn't significantly impact box office, but created marketing challenges. The merchandising scene props cost more than actual licensed products. Would have the ironic merchandising scene required creating hundreds of fake Spaceballs products. The production design department spent over $150,000 creating Spaceballs, flamethrowers, toilet paper, and other parody merchandise. This exceeded what actual licensed merchandise would have cost to produce. The joke was expensive to execute. Each product had to look authentic and professionally manufactured. The Spaceballs flamethrower was a functioning prop that actually worked. Production built multiple copies of each item for different takes. After filming, all props were destroyed per the agreement with George Lucas. Cast members wanted to keep items as souvenirs, but weren't allowed. Brooks wanted to cast his son, Max Brooks, as a Spaceballs trooper Mel. Brooks wanted to give his teenage son, Max Brooks, a small role as a Spaceballs trooper. Max was interested in acting, and his father wanted to help his career. However, the Screen Actors Guild objected to the nepotistic casting. Union rules required extras to be hired through proper channels. Brooks couldn't simply cast his son without going through official procedures. Max auditioned along with other actors, but wasn't selected by the casting department. Mel was disappointed, but respected the process. Max Brooks eventually abandoned acting and became a successful novelist instead. The film's box office was disappointing. Despite positive reviews, Spaceballs cost approximately $22 million to produce. It grossed only $38 million domestically, a modest return. MGM expected much larger box office given Mel Brooks' reputation and Star Wars parody concept. The disappointing performance surprised everyone. Critics generally praised the film. Audiences who saw it enjoyed it. However, not enough people bought tickets during theatrical release. MGM blamed competition from other summer 1987 releases. Brooks believed the PG rating limited audience interest. The film underperformed compared to Brooks' earlier hits like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. MGM immediately canceled planned sequel discussions. Alternate ending Mel Brooks filmed an alternate ending showing Lone Star and Vespa's wedding ceremony, interrupted by Dark Helmet's return. The deleted scene featured Helmet crashing through the ceiling, demanding revenge. A massive lightsaber duel between Lone Star and Helmet followed, ending with Helmet's ridiculous death involving the Schwartz backfiring. The sequence included elaborate stunt work and effects. Test audiences found it anticlimactic after the main plot's resolution. Brooks realized the quiet wedding ending worked better tonally than another action sequence. The expensive alternate ending was cut entirely. Only production stills and storyboards survive, showing the elaborate, unused finale. Spaceballs could have been the merchandising juggernaut that Mel Brooks envisioned. Instead, George Lucas banned all products, the budget was slashed, and the box office disappointed. The action ending was cut. The fake merchandise cost more than real products would have, and a parody about merchandising couldn't sell any merchandise. Some jokes work better than they sell.